So let's move on to some of the details surrounding the immune system. Let's start by differentiating between nonspecific and specific body defenses and giving examples of each. As mentioned, there's a number of different pathogens, as indicated here, invading enemies, but things that can get into our body and produce disease. Fungus, cancer, parasites, viruses, or bacteria. Our body has two major levels of immunity. The first is nonspecific immunity, as indicated on the left side. To break down that term, nonspecific, what it's referring to is it's not specific to any of these particular invading enemies, the fungus, cancer, etc. And so the first line of defense within nonspecific immunity are simply barriers, like chemical barriers, stomach acid and tears, mechanical barriers like skin, or reflexes like coughing. Each of these types of defenses protect us by not allowing the fungus, parasites, bacteria, etc. into our body in the first place. Tears wash away any bacteria that might get on the surface of our eye. Mechanical barriers like our skin prevent viruses or fungus from even getting into our body by providing that wall-like structure. The second line of defense is nonspecific immunity, but that's involved in protecting us after these pathogens maybe have got into our body. Things like inflammation and fever. If some of the bacteria actually cross our skin and get into our body, we might have inflammation and fever in the area where they actually got into the body. We'll talk a little bit more about that and how it works in a bit, but it's not a reaction to any specific bacteria or viruses, but it's causing inflammation and high temperatures to try to kill off those bacteria or viruses. Phagocytes are actually cells that will engulf these pathogens and eat them up. Protective proteins are various types of proteins that will attempt to destroy these pathogens or to protect other cells from having the pathogens attack them. There are also natural killer cells, which are a type of cell that release chemicals to destroy invading pathogens. Another level of immunity is specific immunity, and this incorporates our third line of defense, which are T cells and B cells. We'll get a little bit more into T cells and B cells later on in this unit, but these are specific because they will attack specific types of disease. For example, I might get infected with one bacteria where certain T cells and B cells will react in order to kill off that bacteria. I might get sick later with another bacteria, and the T cells from my original infection don't function to fight off that type of bacteria, but other T cells and other B cells will mount a response because they are specifically tailored to attack that second type of bacteria. So continuing on, we can again take a closer look at nonspecific immunity. Nonspecific immunity, as mentioned previously, protects the body against many different types of pathogens. It does not recognize any specific pathogens and attack them, but has systems like mechanical barriers, chemical barriers, and reflexes, ultimately forming the first line of defense, as mentioned in the previous slide, that prevent pathogens from getting into our bodies in the first place. Skin and mucous membranes that line things like our lungs and our digestive system are mechanical in the sense of they don't physically let the bacteria or the viruses into our underlying tissues. Chemical barriers like sweat or the acidity of our stomach have a pH such that most bacteria and viruses can't live under those acidic conditions and therefore chemically break down those pathogens before they can get into our body. Tears flush those pathogens out of our eye. On top of that, they also secrete a substance called lysozyme. This discourages the growth of pathogens on the surface of the eye. We also have reflexes like sneezing, that when we get dust or other pathogens into our respiratory system, the reaction of sneezing helps to clear them out of that system. We also just took a look at phagocytosis. To break that word down, phago means to eat. Cyto refers to cell, and osis is a process. And so phagocytosis is the process of cell eating, and it's kind of indicated in this image here. Certain cells, and we'll look at some in a little bit, will undergo phagocytosis where, as indicated in the pink here, we have some pathogen that gets into our body, and the cell will wrap around that, envelop it, and bring that pathogen inside the cell and then destroy it. Inflammation and fever were mentioned previously as well, and we'll take a closer look at those in a second. And then we have protective proteins, like interferons. Interferons are chemicals that are released by cells that have been invaded by viruses. When a virus gets into a cell, the cell will release interferons that go to other cells and communicate that that cell is currently infected. It interferes with the propagation of the virus by telling the other cells to ready themselves to not allow the virus to enter into them. Complement is made up of a number of chemicals that are within our body that when we have a bacteria go into our body, the complement will attach to the bacteria and punch holes into the surface membrane of the bacteria, thus breaking down the bacteria because it can no longer function properly with these holes in the plasma membrane. We also mentioned natural killer cells, which are a special type of cell that acts non-specifically to kill a variety of cells. It's not specific to any type of pathogen that's getting into our body, and although we won't look at it much in this course, they are nonspecific immunity, and specifically all of these together form the second line of defense.